Hi, Tom here. Tonight, I want to talk to you about something that most people have felt, but almost no one really understands. Ghosts. Not the movie version, and not the cheap jump scare version either. The presence in the hallway after a funeral. The dream that feels too real. The way a room can suddenly feel heavy or strangely loving when no one else is there. So, in this video, we're going to explore 3 things. What ghosts might actually be, why they might still be here, what spiritual pioneers like Robert Bruce think is really going on. And we're not going to do it just from fear or superstition. We're going to sit in a middle place between mystical experience and practical common sense. So, take a breath with me, because to talk about ghosts, we also have to talk about us. If you look across cultures, across time, people keep reporting similar things. Seeing a loved one at a moment they pass, even from far away. Feeling someone sit on the bed in the night when no one is there. Smelling specific perfume, cigar, or aftershave that belonged to someone who has died. Psychologists have tried to frame some of these as grief, hallucinations, or the mind trying to cope with loss. But here's the interesting thing. When researchers actually look at how common this is, huge numbers of people quietly admit, I've felt them. I've sensed them. I just didn't want people to think I was crazy. So maybe the better question isn't, are ghosts real? Maybe the question is, what are we actually touching when these moments happen? I want to give you a framework that's big enough to hold science, mysticism, and lived experience together. Think of it like 3 layers. Some ghost experiences really are just our nervous system processing grief, shock, or trauma. Your brain replays faces, voices, and moments because it's trying to integrate what actually happened. Many spiritual traditions say that intense events, love, violence, terror, deep joy, leave a kind of a stamp in place, like a recording that replays itself. These are what some investigators call residual hauntings. Not a conscious spirit, but an echo in the field. And then there are the encounters that felt intentional. The grandmother who appears once in a dream with a specific message. The presence that responds when you speak. The feeling of being watched that changes when you ask it to stop. These are what many traditions call earthbound spirits, or ghosts in the truest sense, conscious awareness that has survived physical death. So, when we say ghost, we might actually be pointing at one of several different phenomena, but they all remind us of the same thing. Consciousness doesn't seem to shut off as neatly as we pretend it does. Now, if some spirits remain close to this world after they die, why? What's the purpose? From thousands of stories, spiritual teachings, and even modern paranormal research, a few big themes keep showing up. The least scary and most common explanation is simple. Love doesn't always let go when the body does. Many people report feeling a lost loved one near them in the first few months after they pass, at key moments, weddings, births, or big decisions, or right at the moment of their own death. Sometimes the purpose seems to be, I'm okay, I'm still here, and I'm with you. These are what some mediums describe as visitation experiences. Short, often peaceful encounters that bring comfort or clarity. If you've ever had one of these, you know they don't feel like a horror movie. They feel like love sneaking back in one more time. Then there's the classic concept, unfinished business. Across cultures, people talk about spirits that hang around because they died suddenly and don't realize they're gone. They're still attached to a house, land, or possibly an object. They're stuck in guilt, anger, or a story that never got resolved. Think of someone who passes in an accident, a conflict, or with words unsaid. That emotional charge doesn't just vanish. From a spiritual perspective, that stuckness can keep a fragment of their awareness close to the physical world, looping, replaying, trying to understand what happened. Sometimes that shows up as a classic haunting, footsteps, maybe door closing, shadows, repeating patterns. Not because they're evil, but because they're confused. Another thread that comes up again and again is the idea that some spirits stay to guard, to watch over descendants, a home, sacred land, or even a small community. You've heard stories of a deceased parent watching over children, a former owner still walking the house, or ancestors who show up in dreams right before something important happens. In that view, a ghost is less a problem to get rid of and more a continuing relationship. They're not stuck as much as they're choosing to keep an eye on things from just beyond the veil. And then there are spaces that just feel haunted. And when you tune in, there's no sense of personality at all. Just a loop. A hallway that always feels cold. A stair where you always feel like someone's right behind you, but never is. Many investigators and mystics describe these as residual energies or place memories. The purpose here isn't consciousness. It's more like, this was intense, and the walls remember. If you ever walked into a building and instantly felt, I don't like this, before you even knew its history, you most likely felt that kind of ghost. Now, I want to bring in someone whose work has shaped a lot of modern astral projection and spiritual protection. Robert Bruce, author of Astral Dynamics and Practical Psychic Self-Defense. Bruce spent decades exploring out-of-body states and mapping out what he calls the real-time zone, a subtle layer of reality very close to the physical, where spirits, earthbound entities, and astral wildlife can be perceived. In his model, most ghosts are earthbound human spirits, people who have died, but whose subtle bodies are still operating in real-time layer very close to this world. They're often drawn to familiar people and places, homes, bedrooms, hospitals, battlefields, anywhere there have strong emotional ties. Bruce describes that when these spirits make contact with the living, through touch, proximity, or even hugging someone they love, there can be a transfer of etheric energy from the living person into the spirit. He doesn't frame this as some cartoonish soul vampirism, but more like an unconscious feeding process. The spirit is low on life force. It gets close to someone it loves, and a little energy flows. In most cases, Bruce says this causes no real harm to the living and isn't intentionally malicious. It's just a side effect of how energy works between worlds. Where he does get more serious is with what he calls deranged souls, astral parasites, and non-human entities that latch onto fear, addiction, and trauma. From his perspective, the important thing isn't to obsess over them. It's to practice psychic self-defense. Keeping your field strong, your boundaries clear, and your energy grounded. In simple terms, not every bump in the night is a demon, but not every presence is healthy either. Your job is to stay clear, centered, and protected. So, with all this in mind, how do you live in a world where ghosts might be real without becoming paranoid or dismissive? So here's the practical part. First, grounded discernment. If you hear a noise in your house, check the pipes before you call a priest. We honor the unseen best when we also respect the seen. Rule out leaks, drafts, animals, and your own stress. Notice if your experiences come only when you're overtired, grieving, or anxious. If something keeps happening after you've ruled out the obvious, then you can explore the spiritual layer. This keeps you from giving your power away to every creak and shadow. Second, how to respond to a presence. If you do feel like something is with you, especially after a loss, try this. Speak out loud. Calm, firm, but respectful. If you're here in love, you're welcome. Thank you. If you're not here for the highest good, you're not allowed to stay. You must leave now. Set energetic boundaries. Imagine your body and your home filling with a steady, bright light. Not aggressive, not fearful. Just a clear, this space is mine, and it's safe. Offer direction, not just fear. For a spirit that feels stuck, many traditions suggest saying something like, "You are loved, you are forgiven, you are allowed to move onto the light." Whether you see that light as God, Source, Higher Self, or just peace, it gives that consciousness a path. None of this is about summoning or playing games. It's about cleanup, not curiosity. Third, pay attention to the feeling. Most people can feel the difference between a presence that's heavy, draining, or intrusive, and a presence that's gentle, loving, or protective. Your body knows. If something feels off, open windows, bring in fresh air and sunlight, play uplifting music, clear the space with a prayer, intention, or whatever fits your path. If something feels loving, you can say thank you. You can ask for guidance. And you can also lovingly say, "I'm okay now." You can rest. Both are forms of spiritual maturity. Now, finally, why does any of this actually matter? Because if ghosts are real, if consciousness can linger, then how we live, how we love, and how we leave this life might echo longer than we think. Maybe ghosts are the parts of us that refused to let love die. The stories that never got told. The apologies never spoken. The attachments we couldn't drop. Or the echoes of trauma we never healed. And if that's true, then the most powerful ghost work we can do is actually now. Say what needs to be said while people are alive. Forgive as much as you can from this side. Soften the regrets you're carrying before they become hallways you haunt. Whether you think ghosts are souls, imprints, or just the mind, they're still pointing at the same deeper truth. Nothing you feel is meaningless. Nothing you do with your heart disappears. And maybe, just maybe, one day you'll be the presence that brushes past someone you love. Just say, I made it. I'm still with you. Keep going. Until then, take care of your energy, honor your experiences, and remember, you are more than just a body. And so is everyone you've ever lost. Take care and be calm.